First up this morning, a brand new exclusive CNN poll that paints a brutal reality for Democrats as they struggle to mount a unified opposition to President Trump. Americans' favorable views of the Democratic Party's brand are at a record low, just 29%. That's compared to 36% for Republicans. It is the lowest ever recorded for Democrats in CNN polling going back more than 30 years. As you can see, the party's numbers dropping a staggering 20 points in just 4 years. The CNN SRSR's poll also found 57% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning voters are more interested in seeing their party leaders stop the GOP agenda, compared to 42% who are more interested in cutting bipartisan deals. It is a big shift from where the party stood at the start of Trump's first term in 2017.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So as you can see from that intro, yeah, we're going in on the Democratic Party. We just done a video the other day of a new poll that came out, and it's bad news. And now it's even more bad news. This is the second poll in a row showing record low numbers for the Democratic Party. As a matter of fact, y'all, this is getting really bad. They need to do something. They haven't learned their lessons. They took a smacking in the 2024 election cycle, and they're just haven't learned anything. Like I said, they're continuing down the path of destruction and continuing down the path of low popularity. They're not doing any sort of mitigation of anything. They haven't learned their lesson. They're not doing a turnaround. They're just continuing to double down on everything, just everything, and it is costing them a lot. Now, I will put out a bias warning right quick. This news article I got coming up for you guys, it's from the Gateway Pundit, which is a right-wing news source. So I always put that out there before I read any news that comes from right-wing sources. There were no left-wing sources covering any of this. Like CNN didn't even have a news article about this. Sure, they ran that, but the reason I'm covering a right-wing source is because they actually took that poll and they give you all the information. CNN, they just said, oh, well, it's historic lows for the Democratic Party and it's not good, right? Which, by the way, I don't know if you guys paid attention to that video, that intro right quick, but the Republican Party isn't doing much better. So, I mean, 36% versus 29%, I would say that's effectively the same. But that's just how I look at it. But you can take that for whatever you want. Let's get into this right quick. Headline: Democrat Party's favorability crashes to historic lows since 1992 as Americans reject radical left agenda, according to far left CNN poll. They call CNN far left, which they are, by the way. I will admit that they are. And they do say Democrat Party in this thing a lot. I will be changing it because, once again, it's the Democratic Party. Let's not get this wrong. But, you know, I'm trying to be fair with my reporting on this. So it is what it is. Let's get into it. The Democratic Party is in crisis, with its favorability plunging to a record low, according to a CNN poll conducted by SSRS last March 6th through 9th. Even the far-left network couldn't hide the reality. Americans are fed up with the radical policies, incompetence, and endless political warfare pushed by today's Democrats. I would have to agree with that. We are sick and tired of seeing this nonsense coming from the left wing, and it has been captured. The left, just in general, the Democratic Party, has been captured by the far left, right? And the establishment is in charge, and all they worry about is virtue signaling, right? And who is the loudest that they can virtue signal to? The far left. So that's what the entirety of the Democratic Party. Now, I will say there's a lot of voters out there that just can't stand what's going on within the Democratic Party. There's viral video after viral video of people just berating the Democratic Party.
Democratic Party have lied to us about everything. They've lied about being the party of the middle class. They've lied about being the party of peace. They've lied about being the party that wants to help poor people. Okay? What the last several weeks have proven to us all is that this is a cadre of criminals and losers and spoiled children of affluent parents who were more concerned about looking good than actually doing good. These are people who were more concerned about looking like they were doing something for the American people than actually doing things for the American people. And that's why I'm so angry. Because this party lied to me while stealing my tax dollars. The Democratic Party lied to us all while they brought in millions of illegal immigrants for their own political purposes for the last 4 years. 20 to 30 million illegal aliens brought in, and now we come to USAID being probably the largest money laundering operation in American history. I'm disgusted beyond words. Disgusted with the waste of money. Disgusted with the waste, with the fraud, with the way that you people use color legitimacy, and the way you use black people as mules to get us to push whatever agenda you wanted to. The amount of division you used black people to sow upon the American people, you used us for that. Y'all were supposed to be the party of free speech, the party of women's rights. You have immolated all of those things. And then, as if enough weren't enough, you then decide that you're going to die on the hill of USAID. You're trying to prevent a government audit because some of you really are trying to stay out of prison. Y'all been out here telling us that the game was rigged against certain people. Well, now we found out who the people that were rigging the game were.
Yeah, that guy just absolutely wrecked the Democratic Party. As a matter of fact, that's bad when you have your own voters berating you that badly, right? And you wonder why people are leaving the Democratic Party by the droves, as a matter of fact. It's crazy. It's getting bad, y'all. The poll reveals that only 29% of Americans hold a favorable view of the Democratic Party, a historic low in CNN's polling history dating back to 1992. That's a 20-point drop since Joe Biden took office in 2021, when the liberal establishment still clung to the illusion that his presidency would be a success. It was an epic failure. But as Americans watch cities crumble, inflation skyrocket, and crime spiral out of control, support for the Democratic Party has collapsed. According to the CNN poll, just 63% of Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents say they have a favorable view of their own party, a massive decline from 81% in 2021. Meanwhile, Republicans remain strongly united, with a 79% of GOP voters expressing a positive view of their party. Even among independents, who play a crucial role in elections, the numbers are devastating for Democrats. Just 19% of independents have a favorable view of the Democratic Party, compared to 20% for Republicans. That's only 1% better, by the way. Like, come on. I just don't get this idea that they're putting out this is so bad. Well, it is bad for the Democrats, but the numbers for the Republicans from the independents aren't much better. That's only 1%. Let's be a little bit fair with this, Gateway Pundit. One of the biggest takeaways from CNN's poll is the lack of strong leadership within the Democratic Party. When Democratic-aligned adults were asked who best reflects their party's core values, the answers were all over the place. 10% named radical leftist Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. 9% actually said Kamala Harris. 8% chose socialist Senator Bernie Sanders. 6% pointed to House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries is not a leader. I'm sorry. It was nonsense that they put him up as the minority leader, right? The next to be the Speaker of the House if Democrats ever regain control. He is not a leader. I'm sorry. He is not the face of the Democratic Party. They don't have a leader currently. There could be a leader. There most definitely could be. Dean Phillips would make a strong Democratic leader right now. Dean Phillips, as a matter of fact, Ro Khanna would actually make another one who is actually a sane Democrat. He's actually more progressive, But he actually, like when you look at what he says and how he speaks and what he actually advocates for, he seems to be a genuine article. I always talk about this guy. He's one of the few Democrats that actually seem to care about his constituency, that doesn't just bend the knee, capitulate to the establishment, doesn't capitulate to the far left. And he's a progressive. He's a populist. You know, Cenk Uygur has him on his show all the time because they make sense. He's a populist candidate that would be a good leader of the Democratic Party, at least in Congress. But no, they push these people to the side. They just want these establishment robots to get up there and represent them in Congress. And I just don't understand that. The Democratic Party just can't see the forest for all the trees that are in the way. But let's keep going. Meanwhile, over 30% of respondents didn't name anyone at all. That's funny. The Gateway Pundit previously reported that according to a report from Politico, which received a copy of an internal poll conducted by the Democratic group Navigator Research, this is what we covered the other day. A majority of Americans still believe the party does not work to further their interests, instead prioritizing the needs of criminal aliens or certain racial minorities. The report stated, nearly 2 months into the second Donald Trump administration, a majority of voters in battleground House districts still believe Democrats in Congress are more focused on helping other people than people like me, according to an internal poll conducted by the Democratic group Navigator Research. Yeah, we covered that. That was the other video I done the other day that was absolutely devastating because that was just Democrats that were polled in that. And it was a very low number. I forget what the number was right off the top, but we'll get to that. Among independents, just 27% believe Democrats are focused on helping them, compared with 55% who said they are focused on others. That is right. Especially alarming for Democrats were findings around voters' view of Democrats and work. Just 44% of those polled said they think Democrats respect work, while even fewer, 39%, said the party values work. Only 42% said Democrats share their values. 42% of Democrats share their values. Yeah, that was just a devastating number. That's less than half of Democrats think that Democrat politicians share their values, and that it was even lower among independents. A majority, 56%, said Democrats are not looking out for working people. Only 39% believe Democrats have the right priorities. This is just, once again, like I said, and they're not trying to do a turnabout face. No, haven't learned a single lesson. Other findings include a massive 69% of voters believing the party is too focused on being politically correct, while a further 51% feel the party is elitist. Meanwhile, polls after President Trump's address to a joint session of Congress show overwhelming approval for the president's speech. Far-left CNN was forced to air a brutal rejection of the Democratic Party, with 69% of Americans approving of President Trump's speech. The CNN/SSRS poll showed that 44% of viewers had a very positive view of President Trump's speech, and 25% had a somewhat positive view. Only 31% had a negative view of the president's speech. CBS polled 1,207 viewers who were 51% Republican, 27% Independent, and 20% Democratic voters. If found that 91% of watchers care about the issues that Trump spoke about. Yeah. So it's getting outright devastating for Democrats at this point. And like I said, throughout this entire video, they don't seem to be doing a damn thing about it. They see poll after poll after poll, just more and more devastation for the Democratic Party. And they're continuing to double down. I guess maybe they think that they're not going far enough left or something, but what they don't realize, they need to moderate their positions a little bit. Come back to the center. Come back. The left has gone way too far left, and everybody is starting to see that. They have utterly rejected the Democrats at this point. And this is bad news, y'all. This is really bad news because, we need the bifurcation in this. I know people like to argue all the time that they think it's bad that we have a two-party system, but I don't think that's such a bad thing, right? Because, you look in other countries that have 3 and 4 and 5 political parties, you get leaders based upon 15-20% of the vote. And I don't think that's a good thing. I like how we got these two parties, and when the President Trump gets elected, he gets almost half of the population, almost half of the voting population voted for President Trump. I like that idea that it's more of a majority instead of a plurality of 15% versus 10% or blah 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 blah. I don't like having these multiple parties. Right? Because it kind of forces people to come together a little bit. It forces people to agree that, yes, this guy's the best guy for the job, even if that we don't completely agree on everything, right? Because then you get rule by tyranny of the minority, right? Like, you get a bunch of Democrats, they'll get together just to blah, blah, blah. We see this all over the world, in countries that have they have way too many political parties. A lot of people think that's a good thing. I happen to not agree with that. Now, I don't like some aspects of the bifurcation of just the two-party system. Some aspects are garbage. Sure, I'll agree to that. But for the most part, I think it kind of forces people to come together. I think it's a good thing overall. It's a net positive. It's got its downfalls, like I said, but I think it's a good thing, to be honest with you. But, it is what it is. But I think that's all I got on this one. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section, because this kind of crap blows my mind all the time, that Democrats keep getting these devastating polls come out that show that they're just completely unfavorable at this point. Nobody agrees with what they're saying, and they just continue to double down on the nonsense. Just blows my mind that they're not trying to do something about this. And we've got midterms rapidly approaching, right? I know that's 2026, and it's a good ways away still, but it's going to get here in no time. And they need to start doing something now if they want to see any sort of change. But I'm very content with how things are going right now, so I really don't want anything to change. But that is my opinion. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.